We were just kids. Ben, Evan, Tommy, and me. 13 years old and bored enough to ride our bikes out to the edge of nowhere. It was early autumn in 1991, and we found ourselves pedaling down Miller's Road, a skinny dirt path clawing its way past the last houses on the outskirts of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, the small town we'd all been raised in, before disappearing into the woods so thick no one dared wander there anymore. Ben led the pack, legs pumping hard, chasing the fading light like it was a race he couldn't lose. Behind him, Tommy and Evan's laughter bounced through the trees, loud and careless. I hung back, lungs burning, feeling the late afternoon chill creep into my skin as the shadows deepened and the forest closed around us. The road narrowed and roughened, gravel crunching beneath our tires as we rolled deeper into the woods. The sun dipped lower, and the forest floor dimmed, broken only by patches of waning light filtering through the leaves. Up ahead, the old house sat like a rotting tooth, sagging roof, boarded windows, walls eaten by ivy and rot. But it was the mailbox out front that caught our eyes. Rusted metal, bent at odd angles, the paint peeling and faded to ghostly white. Tommy slowed beside it, grinning. "You guys ever hear the story about this thing?" he said, tapping the mailbox with his knuckle. "Supposedly, if you write a letter, it answers back, like it knows your secrets, or makes your wishes come true." Ben snorted. "Yeah, right. Like some haunted pen pal or something." Evan laughed. "Just some local nonsense to scare off kids like us." I pulled up beside them, staring at the mailbox. It looked like it belonged to a ghost. We joked around for a bit, daring each other to write something. Nobody was serious, just dumb kid stuff. Then, Ben pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket. "I'm doing it," he said, eyes gleaming with that reckless grin he always got when he wanted to stir some trouble. "But I don't have a pen." We all fumbled around, looking for something to write with. Ben kept patting his pockets, hoping for a pen. Evan leaned closer to the mailbox, gave the rusty door a gentle push, and it swung open with a creak. "Hey guys, check this out," Evan said, reaching into the mailbox and pulling out a pen. Just one, old and beaten up, but maybe it still works. We all exchanged looks. Kind of weird, right? Who just leaves a pen in an abandoned mailbox out here? Ben grinned, snatched it up. "Looks like it wants me to write something after all." Ben tore off a small square of paper, scribbled a quick note. "I wish I could skip school forever and never get caught." We all laughed. Stupidest wish ever. But we were 13. I mean, what else were we gonna do? He dropped the paper in and slammed the mailbox shut. "All right, this place sucks. Let's find somewhere else to hang out," Evan said. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something just shifted, like the air itself had gone colder and heavier around us. We mounted our bikes and rolled down the cracked road, the mailbox fading behind us like a forgotten secret. The sun dipped low, filtering weakly through the dense canopy lining the long road. The air cooled, and the woods seemed to close in tighter the further we went. Ben was quiet for once, his usual smirk replaced by something unreadable. Tommy and Evan tried to shake off the tension with loud jokes, but even their voices faltered in the growing dusk. We rolled past the last bend in the road, the trees falling away to reveal the train yard like a graveyard of steel. The place had been dead for years, maybe decades. Tracks sagged into the dirt, swallowed by weeds, and the boxcars stood hunched and rusted, their paint scabbed away to bare metal. A busted crane leaned off to one side, its arm frozen mid-swing. like it had been caught in the middle of some long-forgotten task. The air smelled of rust and rain-soaked wood. We coasted in slow, each bump and rattle from the track echoing sharper in the heavy silence. The quiet here, so thick it seemed to stick to our skin. Ben stopped abruptly, his breath catching as if he had just realized something was wrong. His hand shot at his pocket, patting at it once, then again, faster this time, like he'd felt a spark through the fabric. "What is it?" I asked. But he didn't answer. He just yanked out the same crumpled scrap of paper from earlier. For a second, it sat harmless in his hand. Then, the edges began to glow, a dull orange that brightened until small, silent flames ate their way inward. The page curled and crumpled into ash without so much of a wisp of smoke, drifting to the ground between his shoes. Ben just stared at his hands, breathing harder now, like he'd run a mile. I didn't put that back in my pocket," he muttered. The words seemed to sink into the silence, as if the night itself was listening. From somewhere deep in the yard, metal groaned, slow, dragging, like something shifted weight for the first time in years. We all turned toward the sound, but nothing moved. Just the hulks of old boxcars, black against the night. Tommy swore under his breath, "Let's just go." But as we stepped back toward our bikes, I noticed shapes between the cars. Tall, still, watching. Ben moved first, grabbing his bike and swinging a leg over the seat. That groan came again, closer now, followed by the slow, deliberate grind of something big moving across the ground. Evan's voice was a low hiss. "Let's get the heck out of here." We pushed off hard, tires spitting stones, the dark swallowing the tracks behind us. I didn't dare look back, but I could hear something keeping pace just beyond the edge of the light, each step matching our frantic pedaling. The yard felt endless, the rusted skeletons of boxcars looming like silent witnesses. Every turn we took seemed to spit us back into the same stretch of track, the same leaning car, the same broken signal light flickering weakly against the dark. Tommy shouted, not words, just raw noise, as something crashed through the weeds behind us, heavy enough to shake the loose rails under our tires. Ben was ahead now, pedaling like his legs were about to tear off, the chain on his bike squealing with every turn. A shadow cut across the gravel in front of him, not from anything I could see, but big enough to swallow his headlight beam whole. Ben swerved, lost control, and I heard the slap of his body hitting the ground. We skidded to a stop, but by the time our lights caught the spot, Ben was gone. No sound, no movement, just his bike and the front wheel spinning lazily in the dirt. Then, from somewhere far down the tracks, the groan came again. Only, this time, it sounded like laughter. With adrenaline pumping, we fanned out without speaking. The moon was out now, silvering the rails. But it didn't help much. The gaps between the cars were still black. "Ben, man, come on," I yelled, trying to sound annoyed instead of scared. A breath of wind stirred the weeds, carrying with it a whisper I couldn't quite catch. Then I saw it. Something tall, standing just beyond the last car in the row. Not moving, not even looking at me. But when I blinked, it was gone. Somewhere, far down the line, something metallic clanged, slow and deliberate. We all froze, listening. Evan whispered, "That wasn't Ben," and I believed him. We regrouped near the edge of the yard, hearts pounding, still scanning the shadows in case he stumbled out. But the longer we waited, the more wrong the silence felt. It wasn't empty, It was watching. By the time we rode back into town, the street lights felt too bright, too clean. We went straight to Tommy's house and told his parents what happened. They called the police immediately. The search started that night and went on for days. Trained dogs, floodlights, officers combing the yard and the woods beyond. They found our bike's tire tracks, our footprints, and nothing else. No Ben. No sign he'd even been there past sundown. We didn't tell them about the mailbox, about the pen, about the joke he wrote down. That stayed with us. Something unspoken, heavy, almost shameful. Because if the legend was true, then whatever took Ben wasn't an accident. Today, there's a row of neat new houses where the old place and mailbox used to stand. Fresh lawns, kids' bikes on driveways, porch lights glowing warm. But every time I pass through that neighborhood, I still see the overgrown yard, the leaning mailbox, and Ben's smile just before it vanished into the dark. And I think about that night and how some things don't stay buried.